Thanks for staying with us on the Sports Max Zone. We'll be turning our attention to swimming as we look to take a dive into the recently launched book by the Jamaican swimming royalty, none other than retired five-time Olympian and record holder Alia Atkinson. The publication titled Day One, Not One Day was launched at the conference room of the Natl Aquatic Centre, Independence Park, where she had the opportunity to share a splash of the book's essence. With a message laced with hope and encouragement, she seeks to impact young athletes and the various challenges and setbacks that may come as an athlete, challenges she would have experienced and overcome in her career. Don't believe me? Just ask her mom.
Well, I can tell you, she did it. She did it. I'm just an avenue for her. I just, try to assist her with what her goals were. I was her chauffeur, I was her nutritionalist, I was her financier, everything.
A proud mother, and it warms our heart to see. Well, from me, let's hear from the legend herself as she joins us in studio. Alia, welcome once again to the Sports Max Zone. It's good to have you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
How long has this been on your mind and in your heart in terms of writing this book?
So I always wanted to write an autobiography to start out with, something that showcases my responsibilities and duties of what I've accomplished over the years, and to leave something for the younger swimmers. But along the way, especially after COVID, I got a lot of messages about swimmers just needing help, athletes just needing help, whether it was physically or mentally. They just wanted somebody to talk to. And I think this book really resonated with them because I wanted to write something for those athletes, the people that wanted to ask these questions, that needs to know how to come out of the hole, how to be able to have a goal and reach to it, the steps that you're going to need to get to where you want to be. And that's what this book is about.
How long did it take you to write it?
3 months.
3 months?
Wow. Well, that's impressive.
You had a lot on your mind.
It actually went quickly. The writing process was about a month, and then everything else, so the editing and formatting, because I wanted to make sure people of different walks of life read it. So children, older adults, people in swimming and people outside of the swimming. I wanted everybody to read it and get something from it. And it was interesting because everybody picked up at least one thing that they could bring back to their walk of life. Even if they're not swimmers, even if they're not outside of athletics, they had something in there what them can use.
Day One, Not One Day is the title of the book. I mean, it almost sounds a little bit obvious, but explain your thought process behind the title.
Many years I've always heard, I'm going to be fit one day. I'm going to lose the weight one day. I'm going to write this one day. And one day seems hopeful, but you don't have a timeline on that. Your dream is just getting further and further away with the hope that is getting further and further away. So I wanted one day to be your hope, but day one is where you start that dream, you start that goal. It is today is your day one.
It's interesting because, of course, we all know the difficulties that you would have faced in reaching your true potential, and a lot of it had to do with resources. I'm sure that you'd have put a few things in the book that, it's all about the athlete, and you don't need resources to push you all the way.
Yes. The great part of the book is that it works about your inner strength. So it works about having introspective. What are you? Who are you? What type of athlete are you? But also, you don't need other people to help you with your goals. You need a support team. You need a staff. But when push comes to shove, how willing are you to get where you need to be? And what will you do to overcome that regardless of the obstacles that are in your way? And a lot of the time it is finances and resources. How are you going to overcome that? I just come back from Montego Bay, and the amount of swimmers that just jump in the water, in the sea, Doctor's Cave, and then just do what they have to do because their goals are bigger than their limitations and the obstacles that are in their way. So you push through.
So you're targeting, as you said, a lot of the youngsters and teenagers because you know where you started and you know what that probably would have meant to you if you had the inspiration, which obviously you did. I remember covering you in 2004, your Athens Olympics, which was your debut Olympic Games. When you take your mind back to that as a 15-year-old at the Olympics and went 4 Olympics after that, how much of your recollection as a 15-year-old in Athens triggered your thoughts and your inspiration to write this book?
I think it's very much like what Vernon said before. The people that have gone through, that have had these hardships, do you give back? Do you actually talk to the athletes that are coming up now? Yes, it's a different generation. However, the same struggles are still there. So are we talking to them? Are we helping them to bring them up and to share our knowledge with them and help them through it? So I think a lot of this is what I would have wanted to hear at 15.
Yeah, we had a discussion in our office a couple of days ago about the timeline for a swimmer. And you had a career that extended beyond 30, which is longer than a lot of swimmers.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that you went through, and for a long time. Were you tempted to retire earlier than you did, eventually?
Many times. Many times. 2012, I wanted to retire.
Yes.
And then 2016, I wanted to retire. 2019, I wanted to retire. 2020, many times.
But you just couldn't, you couldn't leave it. You love it that much.
It's the same thing.
Yes.
What are your goals?
Yes.
After 2012, I wasn't fully content. I know there was more in me and I wanted to push through.
Yes.
And in 2016, after the Olympics, I know there was more in me, but
Yes.
the obstacles and the emotional impact was a lot. So I was
Yes.
like, can I really get over this?
Yes.
And that's when the mentality really have to kick in.
Yes.
And you say, all right, what are your goals? How are you going to push through? What are the obstacles? And you have to keep on going.
Yeah, your first World Championship gold medal would have happened between the 2012 and 2016 Olympics.
Yes.
So I understand that 2012 you felt you had more, and then after Rio you still had more successes, including world records.
Yes.
as well. But if you look at your career and assess it now that you've retired, I'm feeling as if you think your job still isn't finished, even though you've retired.
That's amazing, because as I've grown in the sport, I realize, yes, I'm an athlete, but I'm also a teacher.
Yes.
I'm also leaving my knowledge for the younger ones as well. And that doesn't stop when you retire.
Yes.
Just because I'm not in the pool, I can still be with the ones that are swimming, getting up every morning.
Yes.
How am I going to get up in the mornings?
Yes.
I can still be there for the Learn to Swim programs,
Yes.
for the younger generation to popularize swimming.
Yes.
Not just as a sport, but as a life skill.
Yeah.
Getting in the water, having drowning prevention, safety measures. And I feel like my swimming career has put me on a platform. I can use that to help the younger ones reach where they want to reach.
Yeah, you say you're a teacher, which is in your heart, I'm pretty certain. But you at Texas A&M,
Yes.
you had science, Bachelor of Science.
Yes, psychology.
Psychology, okay, but that has some teaching elements to it, wouldn't it?
It does. I think the mental aspect of it is what helped me a lot, especially during the COVID years.
Yes.
You really need to fix it and change your dynamics to be what you want to do, how you're going to mentally get through it. And I think the psychology really helped me to push through.
There's been a discussion in recent weeks in regards to athletes and what they consider failure to be. I'm not sure if you've heard the different reactions to that particular question, but I want to challenge you on that, because I'm sure you would have had years to even contemplate, even when you had moments when you wanted to retire, as to what you would have considered not quite crossing a line. But what do you consider a failure for an athlete to be, or even for you personally?
For me, I had to change what that meant. As I grew in the sport, failure to me was not realizing whatever my expectation was. It was not just to reach it, because that's if I expect to win gold at Olympics, I would have failed for 26 years. But I had to change it to be, what is my goal? I need to be my best. What is my best? Every single day, am I succeeding? Am I having the little victories? Am I actually checking the boxes of everything I need to do? So when I'm on the block, I knew that I gave it my best. And if I can look back and say, I gave it my best, this is it, then I feel like I succeeded no matter what placement I made.
Post-retirement, a lot of time with family. What's that like?
It's different. It's different. You're looking at the new chapter. You're wondering what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But
if there's additional folks in the family.
Yeah. No, not yet.
Okay.
But yeah, I think for me, it's just trying to figure out what I can use all my life I've accomplished with the psychology, the English, the swimming. How can I transfer that into what I want to do next, and what doors open?
Maybe media, right?
Hopefully.
It's obvious that you have that potential, Alia. I must say that. We have discussed for several interviews that we've done with you, the potential of Caribbean swimming. And I know that for several years we've had strong swimmers, but as we've established, in almost all the cases, they have had to go overseas to refine their craft, to become global challengers. With the exception, as I've said before, of Leah Martindale and Siobhan Cropper, who were based in the Caribbean when they reached world levels. How inspired are you by the talent that you're seeing in the Caribbean at the moment? Dylan Carter, I think, heads the list at the moment, but Lamar, the Bahamian, won gold at the CSE Games this week, defeating Dylan Carter. So there is some talent there. Do you see them carrying the baton and even further than where you took it?
There's always been talent, not just in Jamaica, but in the Caribbean. And where we fall short is not developing them at a young age. So we have Carifta, we have CIC, great. Can these swimmers get international exposure? Can they reach and learn from different avenues all over the world? Not just at the bigger meets, because usually it's probably, what, four swimmers? Can we get more athletes to these international meets to get the exposure so they don't have to go abroad to get all of that? They can bring all of that back home. Because usually when you travel, the coaches, the managers, everybody get workshops. Everybody get to learn and build everything that they need to bring back to their Caribbean country. So if we can do more of that and help sustain that cycle of learning and education, then we'll see a lot more people staying home and getting where they need to be at the highest level while they're still at home.
I'm stunned by the time frame that you took to write this book, Alia. 3 months, you said. Give me the feeling that you may write another one, or 2 or 3.
Of course, yes. Waterbound is one of the, hopefully a non-profit organization soon that will start to build and have free swim clinics for the Caribbean, but also the book series as well. So this is number 1 starting out, day 1. But hopefully it will build with that mental aspect of it, of what we can do to get better mentally and physically.
What do you think was your strongest asset as an international swimmer?
As an international swimmer, I think it was my decision to not be known as a stereotype. For me, being a black swimmer, being from Jamaica, being from a country that is known for track and field, I needed to show them who I am, not what they thought I was. And I think for me, that always changed my mindset. So I was always optimistic, I was always motivated. I never tried to be angry or lazy or whatever stereotype that people would have of a black person. I always change that narrative.
I remember asking you a few years ago, what would you want people to remember you by? In post-retirement, I'm going to put the question to you again, in terms of what would you want your legacy to be?
Oh, goodness. My legacy. Post-retirement, I think I want to be known, I want to be as known for swimming as I am for something else. I want to look at the name and say, oh, Alia, the swimmer, she used to swim? Wow, that's fantastic.
That would be a disappointment for history, persons who record history.
Well, that would mean my next chapter was that great.
Point taken.
I think so, yeah. That's a good point.
But yes.
Okay. All right. I'm looking forward to the future, and I'm looking forward for your next book. Do you have an idea as to where you're going to take this from here?
I'll definitely look at the reviews from this one and see where we can go from it. I do have some religious aspects of it as well, so looking in the Bible and getting those examples of how you get through different obstacles and using biblical references. But outside of that as well, yeah, I think it's just going to grow. Maybe open it up to non-athletic examples as well, because what we're seeing now is a lot of lifestyle changes. People that want athletic mindsets but are not athletes. So having different examples, having things that they can really take home and work with their children or work with themselves. Goal assessment, planning, weaknesses into strengths is a big one, because a lot of the time we look at weaknesses as something that not limits us,
pulls
but
you
then
down.
It defines us.
Pulls you down.
But there's another one as well. There's a desire or a weakness for something. So it's changing the narrative and how you look at something and transforming it.
Where do we get the books?
You can get it on Amazon, but there will also be local distributors in Jamaica, so that information will be out soon.
Yeah. Well, Alia, great talking to you, and always a pleasure having Alia Atkinson on the Sports Mac Zone.
She brought the lights down.
I brought the house down.
Well done. She has won 4 gold medals at the World Championships and twice world record holder. And breaststroke was her most proficient stroke in swimming, but she was efficient in other strokes as well. I can tell you that. Alia, great having you on the Sports Mac Zone. Great success with your book, and we look forward to seeing some more.
Thank you guys very much.
Yeah, back with more on the Sports Mac Zone after this.